Hey, yo, what's up? This Disciple Marshall Currents reign back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-America all day. Yeah, so this video really is going to be about uh, the thugs, so-called thugs in between, thugs, OGs, gangsters. Why they didn't start any revolution in America. Here we are at the end of the days, end of days, last days. Did you see any thug revolution? Did you see any thugs start any revolution? I'm talking about the certified thugs, the certified riders, the certified sliders. You see any revolution? You didn't, did you? See, if we were in another country, particularly for the African American community, if we were in another country like Iraq and we were being persecuted because of the color of our skin alone, just because of how we look alone, right? And then that same ethnicity began to become dangerous. They began to start packing guns. They began to be more aggressive in their community and most feared in their community. Don't you think at some point they would have rose up against their government and system? If you most feared, you know, you're considered to be the most dangerous. At some point, you would think that there would be some type of rebellion. But what I noticed is that in the whole gangster culture and thug culture, is that most of them are killing broke people, straight up broke, less than $5,000 in the bank, straight up broke people, man. And the whole culture has been doing that. The whole culture has been doing the whole gangster thug culture for the most part. Most of it. I would say 95% of it, 98% of it has been doing nothing but killing people with barely any money. I'll say 90% of it is killing people with no money. Now, like I said, if it was another country and you were already oppressed by the system, then you already being aggressive and dangerous and packing guns and all of that and willing to kill. In another country, it would have already been some type of thug rebellion against the system. Yeah, do y'all see where I'm coming from? It would have been whether they lived or died, whether it worked out or didn't, or whether there was a military that was able to defeat them or not. There would have been a rebellion. There would have been an uprising from the thugs, from the gangsters. This message, I have incorporated this perspective in messages way back, like months back. And I just feel that it's necessary right now to talk about it because my main reason is because for some reason, thugs and gangsters feel like everybody in their community is subject to their politics. I guess they call themselves protected in the neighborhood, huh? That's the old school. The old school, I don't know how effective they were, but that was really their purpose for starting gangs and all of that kind of thing. It was really about protecting the neighborhood. But for some reason, the new generation that's not really doing that, they're more trashing the neighborhood than protecting it. They feel the need to still put everybody in their politics, even the likes of me, people like me, prophets and spiritual people. So I just feel the need to check their agenda. You know what I mean? If you know, let's talk about what they doing. They want to talk about. They want to have me in their politics. Let's talk about what they doing. Okay, at some point you realize, okay, you're about your money, right? OGs about their money, right? But at some point you got to be multitasked and be like, well, okay, I'm about my bread, but I see what's going on in the world too. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want us to be considered our type of people to be considered uh, ignorant and unsophisticated all the whole time. Like it's not like this type of individual with this type of perspective and this type of path is incapable of doing real good in the world. You know what I'm saying? Not shelling out money, getting in and doing the work yourself, sweating yourself, not just shelling out money. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I'm not causing people to. I'm not saying that everybody should rise up, physically speaking, against uh, some type of system or something. But you would think, though, if it's already turned up, and people already ready to kill, they being trained to kill, you would think at some point they would turn and face their biggest adversaries. Your biggest adversary is not the guys down the block. Your biggest adversaries, like this comes from being multitasked. Your biggest adversary is the system. The system that has you caged into a certain way of life that you can't get free from. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to be free from that lifestyle. Some people want to be free from that walk of life. Everybody's not, trying to be a thug forever. Everybody's not trying to be a gangster forever. You know what I mean? And especially as you get older, and to me, it's just people don't. To me, they don't have that thing to be really the soldiers, to be respected as they are respected. Like the reason why I don't really respect per se gangsters and thugs as maybe I once did when I was like 15 and 17. Around in that age, I had a great deal of respect for thugs and gangsters. But as I'm now 41 years old, and I understand life a little better, and I understand culture, and I understand the history a little better. I'm just amazed at how a whole culture, a walk of life, never here in this country never rose up against the system that oppresses everyone. Like it was never no mission, like no real mission. I'm not talking about people ready to kill, or ready to do something or talking about it. I'm talking about something that actually took place. You would think that there would have been some type of rebellion or uprising. You know what I'm saying? And it's maybe this is the first time you thought about it, but think about it. Like I said, if it was another country, you see the rebels. They call it in different country. In different countries, they instead of calling them thugs or gangsters, they call them rebels. Rebels. You know what I mean? The rebels are the what's the other word? The radicals. The rebels and radicals. Have risen up against the system, and they have their demands for their community. It's like you never seen that in this country. Everyone sat back and talked and complained the whole time, and verbally talked about what was going on and everything like that. But you never seen the goods that they have put to use towards the powers that be that oppress us. You never seen that. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's just something that I thought about. I've been thinking about, for the past almost a year now. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny to me how, all Americans alike. I don't care what walk of life they come from. They choose convenient enemies and they don't choose their strongest enemy. Me, I chose not to do that. I chose my strongest enemies here. I chose the strongest enemies. But what I noticed in culturally speaking for Americans, they choose convenient enemies and or people they think they can beat. They don't choose to fight people they think they don't know if they can beat them or not. They don't choose to uprise against people they fear or people they feel are a greater threat, than themselves or a threat that they can't handle. They won't fight against people like that. They'll fight against broke people, or people that are weak or considered weak to them or considered weak by their community and culture. That's who they'll fight against. They won't fight against the strongest powers that be and the people that they fear and the societies, secret societies that they fear, and nothing like that. Nobody won't say nothing worthwhile or do anything worthwhile or pose a threat or communicate any kind of threat to the likes of those type of people. And so to me, I feel like that's kind of funny for thugs that and gangsters that talk about what they'll do, this, that, and the third, but they never turn around and listen to their families and gather history from this country and then decide to use that fire for against the greatest enemies and adversaries. I mean, we've never seen it. We've never seen. You could talk about what people said and done. You can talk about organizations that had that were armed and all of that. But you know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. I'm not talking about people who are necessarily even pro-black or have a black agenda. I'm just talking about straight gangsters and thugs that have chosen to use their fire against their greatest adversaries, who they esteem as their greatest adversaries. And it can't be the guy down the street. It can't be the people in your neighborhood. They do not present the greatest threat against the overall livelihood of the culture and the people. And so it just it rings true like it always does when I think about Americans. They never choose to fight their greatest enemies. They just choose to fight people, what I'm saying, that they esteem they is weak. And it's no respect given to that. You know what I'm saying? If you got bodies under your belt that of broke people, you know what I'm saying? Broke people that were no one knows, that did nothing to really oppress the community. You didn't stop any kind of evil. The body under your belt is not the body of some evil guy or evil people that did true evil in your community. A lot of times it's sad situations where it's just two sides and they just oppose each other. One is not either one of them is not necessarily, either one of them are necessarily evil per se. They're all in the same struggle, So that's usually who they kill, you know what I'm saying? You don't find too many guys that got bodies under their belt of true evil oppressors, and to me, that's the heroes, the people who are fighting against the oppressors, the evil oppressors, the people that oppress people in any kind of form or fashion. Anybody fighting against them are the true warriors, you know what I'm saying? The true revolutionaries too, because you got to remember, most thugs and gangsters are inspired by revolutionaries. They're not inspired by each other necessarily. You don't find too many gangsters that's really per se trying to be to emulating another gangster. Usually they all kind of find their own way and have their own philosophies in life, which comes from revolutionaries and philosophers. Let's just listen to people on the streets. They don't talk too much about what the next gangster is saying and the next thug is saying. They're more talking about uh, you know the likes of revolutionaries and people that you know had real ideas for life. But people will say, well, that's not the way, and that's this, that, and the third. I'll just remind you of something that Malcolm X said. Malcolm X said there is no revolutionary starts without can be done basically without bloodshed. There's no revolution that can start without bloodshed. And the reason why I believe that happens is because why that has to happen, because there's people that you're not aware of when it comes to corruption and things of that nature. It's people that you don't realize that are already in a position of resistance. They're already ready to resist any kind of change. They're already ready to resist any type of people coming to change things. And they're willing to die, most of them, if they're real to their cause and purposes, they're willing to die to stop the change that's coming. They're willing to die to stop the revolution. So that explains why, you know, bloodshed has to happen in most cases for revolutions, because there's people that for whatever reason, you know, they just won't give up until they die and they're killed, so you can't talk to them through it. You can't reason with them. You can't show them how they already defeated in some cases, and just the next step is, because they choose to be relentless or persistent, is bloodshed. So I agree with Malcolm X on that. No revolution can start without bloodshed. It just unfortunately, I mean, let's just look at it like this. Look at the Civil War. Look at the Civil War that happened. Look what it took to really free African Americans. Now, we could have talked to the people. We could have talked to the people, after the slaves were free already. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like you would be able to talk to the people, and they would be able to be talked to with, verbal reasoning. They would come to understandings. But they were resistant to the change of letting African Americans go totally free. They didn't want to do it. The South, the Confederates, did not want to let the African Americans free. You know what I'm saying? So it took the North and the Confederates to go to war, in a physical war, because the South was in resistance. They was in this position of resistance. So that being said, bloodshed was necessary. So I'm showing you how, even here in this country, how you have history where, you couldn't talk to people, you couldn't reason with them, you couldn't try to bring them to a certain sense of understanding. You know what I'm saying? This is in your own history, in case you think that I'm inciting a riot or inciting war or something like that. I mean, your own history proves my point. Is that there's people that are in the shadows, that are resistant to the end. You know what I'm saying? And it's from level to level, from era to era, and from every place in time to every place in time. There's always going to be this shadowy resistance that you will have to kill. You know what I'm saying? And see, our community, America, has become so sophisticated. They think they have become so sophisticated, or the better word, they think they have become so civilized that there's always a better way, that there's always some other way than bloodshed. Well, our history has not shown that yet. Okay, it would, in a perfect world, like I like to say, in a perfect world, that would be the idea, is to start a revolution without bloodshed, without anyone getting hurt, without any families getting hurt, but unfortunately history has not showed us yet that this is possible. Anytime that any great change has to come, it comes with bloodshed because of the resistance to that change. So the Civil War is basically a very foundational example of what I'm trying to expound. you know um it's just not going to happen with all these racist people that you don't know. See, a lot of you don't understand that there's neo-Nazis here, there's racist white organizations here, you still have the Klan that's here, you still have all these racist people here. Now, just because you don't see them, you can't be naive, and you can't be simple-minded and be a simpleton concerning their existence. They're still out there. They're still out there, you know, but you have to realize that you're not going to see them walking down the street. In fact, if you live in any great metropolis, they don't want to be in any greater metropolis. They're always on the outskirts of metropolises because it's too multi cultured. It's too many different ethnicities that will rub them the wrong way. So you're not going to see these guys. You're not going to see racist white people, militias, and the Klan, and all neo-Nazis, and even old school Nazis. You're not going to see all these people. You're not going to see all these ex-military racist white guys. You're not going to see all these racist retired police officers. You know what I mean? You're not going to see these people. That's the first thing you need to understand. You're not visibly are going to see them. They're not in your neighborhood. They don't want to be in your neighborhood. You need to understand that part. You're not going to see them on TV because they're not, no one's really, first of all, giving them any time of day these days. No, the fascination is up, No one's fascinated with, why these people are racist. So I say all that to say this. You got a whole culture that you don't even see. You have a whole culture, and a lot of y'all don't have faith in what I'm saying or belief in what I'm saying. There's a whole culture of racist people that you do not see. You may think, oh, okay, they're out there, but you don't know the degree, the magnitude of how many are out there. You're just thinking about a patch of people out drinking beer, shooting guns in a field somewhere. You don't realize how organized they are. You don't know what they're calculating. You don't know what they're doing. You can't trust in the FBI and the CIA and the government institutions to go after white groups. You can't trust them to do it. As soon as something black starts, though, or any other ethnicity, anything starts that's non-white, they're on it. The FBI's on it. It's automatically a threat. White organizations lurk in the dark until something happens. Like, for example, January 6th with the Capitol situation. Then you seen the Proud Boys, which you didn't know nothing about. Then you seen the Boogaloo, which you didn't know nothing about. You seen white militias come out the darks that was already there. This is a perfect example. The Proud Boys was already there. They wasn't born during January 6th and started to recruit and started to get together then. They was already there. Same thing with the Boogaloo group, the white militia Boogaloo group. And I'm not, picking on them necessarily, but if they're there, how many other militia groups are there that we don't know about? And they are going to be the resistance. People that are already armed with military style weapons that you don't know about that are more trained than most metropolis city people. They're more trained because they have more time to shoot guns, different types of guns. They are more trained than you. They are more vigorous than you. They are more militant, exercised in their militant nature than you are. Half of y'all go to the shooting range and that's it. You don't physically get out there and run with guns and shoot and go through obstacle courses like they do. They got obstacle courses, for crying out loud. You know they do. When the last time you have run with a gun and run up and down hills with guns? And you got full militias that's going through obstacle courses, shooting guns and everything. And you think you're ready. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's one thing to have guns and have a certain attitude. It's another thing to have guns and be trained and be able to shoot and be accurate in your shots and be able to go through obstacle courses and be able to run with guns and be able to run up and down streets. A lot of y'all smoke too much and you drink too much and you eat too much to be able to run up and down streets with guns. But yet you call yourself soldiers. No, you have guns, but you know, you have a certain attitude that you would shoot people. But see, that's not going to work against guys that are physically trained and are physically fit. And they don't have a certain attitude. They're just neutralizing targets. They're just neutralizing targets while you got a nasty attitude. They're trained to kill while you're ready to kill. You see the difference between being trained to kill and ready to kill. Okay, you ready to kill, but are you trained to kill? That's a 7. Yeah, it's nothing wrong. Listen, it's nothing wrong with being trained to kill. There's nothing wrong with that's what police are. That's what military are. That's what any armed people, part of government institutions are. All the branches of the military. And you have to also realize it's no crime to be trained to kill. Soon as I start talking like this, because they got you controlled. And it ain't everybody. It's not everybody in the government. It's not everybody it's not every police officer that is trying to control you from being a trained armed person. It's sometimes it's us. Half of it is us and half of it is them. You know, it's nothing wrong. Well, it might be more of them and less of you, but some of it's you too. It's nothing wrong with being a trained individual. It's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to feel like, you know, you're being a horrible person because you're trained to kill. Okay? Because we're living in a time, we're coming to a time now where, you know, people are pushing people, you know, they're already crazy. We're coming to a time where people are just going to do spontaneous evil things, just random evil things. And it's not a crime to be trained to neutralize targets and you know, and those targets being evil individuals. I don't see any problem with that. So you have to recondition yourself, refresh yourself to the times that we live in and understand that, okay, it's one thing to have a gun. It's one thing to be ready to kill. And it's another thing to be trained to kill. And it's okay to be trained to kill. That's okay. You don't have to have a certain style with it. See, the problem is most city people, as soon as you get trained to kill, you step out with your chest out. That part. Soon as you get trained to kill and you got a couple guns, now everybody can tell because you're more confident. You're more arrogant. You're more mouthy, you know, and ballsy, some would say. You know, that's the whole problem is most people that are armed and have some type of goods, you go put them out on display and you go out into the community with your chest out on broke people. But you're not taking that energy to where it deserves to be channeled towards. You know, if you know you're living in a country now where there's 44 states with child marriage, the government has passed laws in your country to marry children in 44 states in your country. The age of consent is under 18 in 40 states as well. Though that's two different laws.